So please put your hands together for Michael Whelan.
Thank you. I came here as a spectator today, and I was asked to put together a talk that would last about 10 minutes. So I'm going to take you on a journey, and there is a Waterford connection. So bear with me along the way, and I'll tie in towards the end. In 1947, British diplomat and traveller Eric Shipton wrote about an arch that was so large it could be viewed from a distance of 20 miles. Now, nobody else visited that arch, incredibly, until the National Geographic located and surveyed the arch in the year 2000, confirming that at 473 metres tall, it is indeed the tallest natural stone arch in the world. It's located in Xinjiang province in the far west of China, which wasn't actually part of China at the time. It's very close to the Afghan border. Now, I have had it when I came across that information in the December 2000 edition of the National Geographic. It featured on the front page. I wanted to visit that arch. Things happen to me like that. I read about something like when I was in London in 1979 and I picked full tilt out of a library in North London, I wanted to cycle to India. So, you know, I get these ideas and that's part of my DNA. So I knew from that time that one day I would visit Shipton's Arch. And around this time last year I bought myself a bicycle. I hadn't cycled for many years, and many of you may have seen me cycling around the town. I kind of committed myself to do about now I'm not one of those Lycra guys with the drop handle bikes, it's more of a touring bike, so I would cycle around Waterford, around the Ring Road and try and gain fitness, and I did, you know, I became quite fit, extraordinarily fit actually, to the point where I lost about 15 kilos in weight, and I remember on part of my journey, I remember cycling, and I noticed that the lake next to me was frozen. And I thought, I must be quite high here. And I checked my altimeter on my watch, and I was at 4,400 metres above sea level cycling. Now, I had difficulty walking at that height in the Alps a year ago. So that's the sort of fitness level that I attained on my journey. So I went on to the Turkish Airways website, a pretty good website, and I clicked the drop button for multi-city destinations. Dublin, Istanbul, Islamabad. Journey 1 and Journey 2. Beijing, Istanbul, Dublin, and total 520 euros, very reasonable price. So I didn't just stick a pin in the map, I can assure you, and I'm well aware of the political situation in Pakistan. So I did a lot of research into my journey, and I'm well aware that, you know, Balochistan is out of bounds and parts of, you know, the tribal held areas. But there is a route, the old Silk Route, it's called the Southern Spur, that goes from Kashgar in western China down to Islamabad, and then I suppose originally it would have gone down to, you know, turned west over towards Quetta and into Iran, the Southern Silk Route. But I didn't have all that time. It takes months and years to travel the Silk Route. Flew to Islamabad with my bicycle in April this year, and I knew from my research that it was dangerous to go outside the airport unaccompanied, and certainly to travel north as far as the city of Gilgit. So my plan was to take a domestic flight from Islamabad to Gilgit with my bike, and then cycle from there through the Karakor, the Kunjurab Pass, which is the highest international border crossing in the world, into Kashgar in western China. That was part 1 of my journey, and the Shipton's Lost Arch is located about 20 miles outside of Kashgar. So I arrived in Islamabad at 3 o'clock in the morning, and there had been huge difficulties on the Karakoram highway. There had been seismic activity and torrential rain, and the highway was blocked in about 120 different places. So there was no traffic, very little traffic going from there. I know about mountain roads. When a road is damaged, the local people get involved, and they make a little U-bend around it, and they have the road fixed, sometimes within a day. So I wasn't too put out by the fact that they were saying the road was blocked in 120 different locations. I still felt it was, and you know, on doing my research, there were people getting through. People were getting through on foot. They were getting through in small vehicles. So there was no chance. My difficulty was there was no chance of getting a flight from Islamabad to Gilgit, and it was quite a dangerous location. Now the guy in the airport said there's a private car outside. You can take 2 drivers, and you'll be there in 15 hours. So I took the chance, put my bike into the back of the it was either that or come home, put my bike into the back of the private car and set off to the suburbs of Islamabad at a daybreak on 25th of April this year. First roadblock we came to, the Urdu language, they use the word foreigner. I'm sure there's many words for foreigners in Urdu, but they tend to use the English version. And I could hear them speaking Urdu, and then all of a sudden I heard the word foreigner. And I was to hear that word hundreds of times before I left Pakistan. They assured me that they went into overdrive. I hadn't realised that they had deployed about 5,000 troops to protect the Karakoram highway, and these guys they were waking up from their slumber. They appointed 4 armed guards to an armed escort of 4 people to take me to Gilgit, and that was fine. I felt reasonably safe, even the fact that they would put on the alarm when we came to a small town. I thought, why are they, letting everybody know that they have a foreigner in the car? But the first town we came to was a town called Abbottabad. I don't know if many of you know that that's where the Americans captured Osama bin Laden. And I'd heard that they were executing volunteers who were working in the polio eradication centre, and it was dismissed as being that there was crazy Taliban guys executing people who were trying to contaminate the nation with polio vaccines. But in hindsight, I found out since I came home that was one of the ways that the CIA captured Osama bin Laden. They were collecting DNA from while they were distributing. There was covert CIA operators working with the polio eradication volunteers and were collecting DNA from people, and that was one of the ways they tracked down Osama bin Laden. So kind of scary stuff going on there. The 15-hour journey to Islamabad, to Gilgit, took about 26 hours. The drivers were smoking a lot of dope along the way, and in many places I was photographed. I thought, here is the last photograph of Michael Whelan, photographed, put on copied, and I entered into a computer, and change of guard. That would happen a lot, where the armed guards would go to a boundary, and there would be a change of guards, and sometimes you'd have to wait for several hours. But it was a very interesting journey, to put it mildly. When I arrived in Gilgit, there was only one hotel. I was so wrecked. I had been in the car for about 26 hours, and they have little televisions in the front of the cars with a lot of Indian dancing, and I was almost hypnotised by all these women dancing for 26 hours on a little screen in the front of the car. So I didn't notice the hotel when I went in. There's only one hotel where foreigners are allowed to stay in Gilgit, and I was so wrecked. I just went to bed and woke up the next morning and looked forward to the nice time in a hotel when you get up nice and early and go and have breakfast. It's supposed to be a really relaxing experience. First thing I noticed was there was a lot of sandbags outside the hotel with soldiers in full combat gear with tin hats and body armour, and every second vehicle on the street was an army vehicle. Looked then, and there was huge bullet holes in the window. I looked across the other room automatically, and the exit holes were at the other side of the room. So this is a really, really funny hotel, Then the waiter, who I thought was coming to take my order for breakfast, handed me a note saying that the chief of police wanted to meet me immediately to discuss my travel plans. No, and then I'm thinking, why did I come here? And that's exactly what the police chief asked me when I met him. Why did you come here? And I ended up having about a 4 or 5 hour conversation with him. And these things happen when you travel. I always say, the destination, the journey becomes the destination, or there's a huge symmetry between them, and that was all very interesting. And probably the scariest incident since my tongue was nearly cut out in Saudi Arabia in 1983 was there was a change of guard. We pulled up outside the police station, and I saw a guy looking at me from across the road, and he had a small machine gun on his shoulder, and he looked like what we would stereotype a terrorist guy, with a long beard and a long coat, and he could have been hiding about 20 kilos of explosives underneath. But I saw him looking at me, and he came over and he spoke to the driver, and I heard the word foreigner being used, and he looked at me again, and he started to fix his gun, and I thought, this is where it all ends, right? And it's funny, I had a real kind of weird, what was going through my head. I was thinking, please don't shoot me in the face. That's what I was thinking. And I actually tried to stand up so he would shoot me in the chest. And the top of my head was pressed off the roof of the minibus. I couldn't stand up straight. But whatever way he turned, I noticed he had a beret tucked under his thing. He was a policeman. But boy, was I relieved. And that kind of demonstrated to me how unrelaxed I was. I always considered myself to be a fairly relaxed traveller, and I've been to Iran several times, and I'm always explaining to people that these countries are never as bad as they're made out to be in the media. I was in Istanbul, there's riots going on 500 meters away, life is going on as normal. But to look at the news reports, you would swear that it's the end of the world in that city, And similarly, like in Ireland, when the Troubles were in the north, life was going on as normal down here, and I'm sure even in parts of Belfast as well at the same time. So, Pakistan is so beautiful. The northern Pakistan, the Hunza, is one of the most beautiful areas in the world, and that's one of the reasons why I went there. And I'm well aware that the Karakoram Highway is probably one of the safest roads in the world north of Gilgit because it's protected. The Chinese have a vested interest in that highway. They pump billions and billions of dollars into it because it's a trade route down to the Arabian Sea from western China, and they're keeping that highway open, and they're not taking any, they don't, earthquakes don't stop them, terrorism will not stop them, and they just keep that highway open. There was a huge landslide about 5 years ago. It created an artificial lake 19 miles long. They tunneled around that in a series of 3 tunnels. One tunnel is 11 miles long through solid rock to keep their trucks going through that highway. So that is a safe highway. There was, technically there's a risk to foreigners that they could be captured by the Taliban and taken as a hostage. But that's there's risks everywhere. Anyway, on into China, the Kunjarab Pass is stupendously high. It's as high as Mont Blanc. It's 4,673 meters above sea level. When you go into the customs room, there's oxygen tubes to stick up your nose so you don't collapse. And they've had to. And I thought I knew what security was until I went to Western China. I mean, the security was pretty intense in Pakistan, but China was just unbelievable. They're at every town and village, there's in Western China, because they have the issue with the Uyghur people. That part of the country was only annexed in 1947, and there is the threat of Islam in Western China, and they're taking huge precautions there. And the fact that it's not a democracy, basically they can do what they like. If they see somebody that they don't like the look of, somebody with a beard, they will search them, they will search their phone, they'll search their cousin's phone, they'll search their house. See, there's no democracy there. Basically they do what they like. Didn't see too much evidence of suppression, but you do come up against it every now and again. You just silly little things like where we are today, where our culture we've evolved from through the Industrial Revolution and trade unions and things like that, and but in China there's none of that. It's copy and paste from the army. People are so regimental, and if they're not happy with something, there's no grievance procedure. If somebody wants to build a big office block in front of your house, tough luck. Here we have channels where we can go and object and things. In China, it would probably be considered a mental illness if you tried to object to the state, a bit like the old Soviet thing. But one interesting thing in Pakistan was I met a group of people who were celebrating, and it's Sharia law exists there, so legally there's no alcohol. But these guys were well oiled, and I actually saw some of the stuff they were drinking later. It was in water bottles, but they were celebrating, and I asked them what they were celebrating, and they said it's our day. It's our workers' day. We're celebrating because we are workers. And I realised it was May Day. It was the 1st of May, so that was a real nice connection with it brings the whole labour movement and it brings it globally. I did get to Shipton's Arch, and it was on my map. It was telling me it was about it's actually about 60 miles outside Kashgar. I know it's uphill, and I cycled for about 9 hours uphill. I left Kashgar early morning with my bike, and it was uphill all day, to the point where I thought, the road really is going uphill, because I turned around and it was really quick to go the other way. So it was very gradual uphill. Then there was a mistake in my map, and when I thought I was there, it was another 16 miles uphill. So it was late in the evening, the weather wasn't good. They actually told me in Kashgar not to go, but I actually had the place to myself. There's a visitor centre there now. It closes at 6 o'clock. I was there at about 8 o'clock in the evening. It was just getting dark. I had to walk for the last 2 or 3 hours up to the arch, and it was the most amazing experience. I had the whole arch to myself. I slept there that night in the rain. I had a waterproof bivy bag, and I woke up the next morning, and it was just so spectacular. This arch, you fit the Empire State Building underneath it. It's just monstrous, Absolutely. You can fly a jumbo jet underneath it. Amazing arch. That wasn't really the crescendo of my journey. I was tying 2 things in together. My late brother, who I'd like to dedicate this talk to, Raimondo, was also an intrepid traveller. He loved adventure, and you know, I suppose Ireland wasn't big enough for him. He found his happiness in Mongolia, where he was able to hunt. And you know, when I say hunt, now, this man he would never be cruel to an animal. He loved animals, but he saw animals as a food source as well. Like, he'd hunt in Waterford, in the mountains in Waterford. He'd always tell me that the stag is dead before he hears the shot of the gun, you know, and he would always have, you know, venison when we'd come home from England on holiday, but he found his happiness in Mongolia. He fell in love with a local woman and 2 beautiful children who I wanted to visit. Ray came home to get treatment here in 2010, and he thought he had TB, but it was a late stage lung and liver cancer, and unfortunately he passed away on January the 10th in 2016. 2010. But it was really good to see I took a 4-day rail journey across China to Beijing, and then I got my Mongolian visa. I went up to visit his widow Salonga and the 2 boys, Ga and Molar, in Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. Now they had, the last time I saw them was at Ray's funeral in Waterford in 2006. At that time they were age 4 and 7, so now they're 9 and 13, and one of them looks just really like me, you know. So, thank you.